theater's been going through some pretty rough times lately. So, what do? Quit? No. My next show is gonna be, drumroll please, a singing competition.
Hello and welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. I'm Nero, and with me is my Canadian host whyboy, and today we're looking at Illumination Entertainment, the Minions guys. They're that's what they're known for. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's what they're known for. I will cut you. We're gonna be taking a look at their next animated classic, Sing. Sing's a pretty interesting movie, to say the least. It's certainly different from their other films. If you've seen Despicable Me and Minions and other films, actually, come to think of it, after Despicable Me, what else did they fucking do?
Despicable Me 2. Oh, the Lorax.
I'll go right up your nose. You wouldn't hit a woman. That's a woman.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that means they peaked with Despicable Me, shit.
Yeah, basically. But they're still making tons of money off it.
Yeah, but they're making tons of money off that fucking Minions movie, too. What's your point?
Well, now they can make all sorts of other movies and be a little bit experimental. Because basically, the story of Sing is that there is a musical contest being held on by this main guy.
Buster Moon, because his name's a parody on the phrase, bust a move.
Yeah, so basically, his theater is just is closing down. He's not able to pay for stuff because all of his plays have been total garbage. So now he wants to do the it's his final chance to basically make it big with this music contest. And so he releases flyers out to all the animals in the city with a slight typo that is for $100,000, except for $1,000. So
it's a movie about anthropomorphic animals, much like in the same vein as Zootopia. They're all, and the whole idea is that he loves performances, I guess.
Yeah.
He loves the theater. Like that's really it. He loves the theater. He eventually owns a theater, and it goes to shit. So now he has to find a way to revitalize the theater. And in essence, that's sort of like that's it, and that's kind of the blandness of it all.
Yes, because from then we get our 6 sub-stories that basically push all the way through. Because I think the best way for me to describe this to everyone is that if you took the stories of most of the American Idol contestants and condensed that into a movie, then that would be what Sing is.
That's also part of the problem, because there's no central focused character. There's like storks that kept jumping around. Sing doesn't really have a technical main character. Now, you could argue that Buster Move, the koala, who for some reason doesn't sound Australian, which I know it's a weird thing to get hung up on, but it's just weird to me because koalas are fucking native to Australia. They could have hired Hugh Jackman or something. He's theoretically the central character because he's the instigator for all the events that come about. Mm-hmm. He's the one who has the theater, he's the one who needs the money, he's the one who has the flyers crafted to get a bunch of talent. But he's a mix of utterly bland and pure douchebag that you really can't empathize with him. Because, he does a bunch of shitty things, like he steals power from the people next door, or he ditches out on paying his workers. Yeah, you could have had an admirable underdog kind of character where he loves the theater, but he's just fallen on hard times. Especially when you consider, and this is never addressed in the movie, it's like an operatic theater for opera.
Yeah.
You think there maybe be some parallel with the high rise of streaming and modern entertainment, that it's kind of an antiquated form of entertainment to go to, but they never address that.
Yeah, that would have been something interesting, because even in our modern times, we still have the theater and even opera and such. So there is still a place for it in our world, and that movie could have addressed that in a way to just show that all forms of media, not media, all forms of entertainment are necessary. All forms of entertainment are necessary in our society, because basically there are all forms of entertainment just for different people. And this movie, it sort of misses the point of that, even with all this other characters, because as we were discussing while watching it, like what would have been the best possible outcome for this is like each one of the characters represents a form of music, and it doesn't really come across as that. Like we have Johnny the gorilla, who's basically the son of a big crime boss, and who just wants to become a singer. And then we have the pig mom. What was her name?
That was Rosita.
Rosita the pig mom, who's basically overworked in her daily housewife duties and just wants a change of pace. And then we have the porcupine, who's wanting to stretch out her wings to show off.
Ash.
Yeah, Ash, who wants to spread her wings, stretch out in her creativity, and then is dumped by her boyfriend because he cheated on her. And then we have Seth MacFarlane Mouse, who's just an asshole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the character Mike, where Seth MacFarlane... I'll give credit where credit is due. Seth MacFarlane can seriously fucking sing.
Yeah, he can definitely sing.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains...
But he's got, like, one character, and that's, like, douchebag for every role he ever plays.
Yeah, exactly. And I do feel that in the confines of the story, you do need one of those douchebags of the characters to basically balance everything out. But it's still played off in the most uninteresting sort of way.
Yeah, but he's unnecessarily, like, mean-spirited, too, for no reason. Like, when he, like, sees Rosita, he calls her, like, fat.
See you around, Porky.
Yeah, if there was an actual reason to his madness, then we would be able to sit through his crap. But no, he's just an asshole. And then we...
Like...
Yeah, then the final character is Nelly. Nelly the elephant. The calm and quiet big elephant. Ooh, I don't know if I want to sing, but I do want to sing loud to all the audience. That sort of character, and that's...
There's such a level of generic with so much of the cast.
Yeah.
Not the actors, but, like, the character archetypes are just so average.
Yeah, it's just so average. And in a way, that would just make this movie almost on the same level as Storks, with all its archetypical writing and such. But I feel that Sing does a better job with its archetypes, as it actually completes their arcs in a way. Not in the most interesting way, obviously, but just in a way that makes it serviceable for the plot. Even for Moon, even though he is a complete dirtbag in a way, he does a beginning, middle, and end to the story, which shows his growth throughout the movie. But I don't think he really needed that sort of like, I have to come from the dirt sort of archetype. We needed him to basically show a level of, I'm trying to find the right word, a level of love for the theater, to basically show that he knows what he's doing. He just has the bad luck of being in this situation right now. Sort of like, he should be the Mary Poppins of the theater world. You should be able to bring these ragtag people together to basically teach them, like, if you want to really show off who you are, just enjoy what you're doing, and here's how to do it.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with him, too, though, is, like we mentioned earlier with the whole douchebaggery, there's nothing indicating that the shortcomings are just his fault. Like, it's not a string of bad luck that you can be like, oh, that sucks, man, don't worry, you'll get through it. It more comes off like, man, you were just a shitty fucking manager.
Yeah, exactly. And you just start to lose empathy for him when you just see him like, oh my god, he's just that bad with it. That bad with negotiating with people and such. Like at the beginning, we have a scene where he's talking with his sheep friend at a very fancy restaurant, and he brings in sandwiches because he's that flat broke. And then it just sort of makes me think, like, are you that dumb to really think that you can bring sandwiches into a fancy restaurant and not get in trouble?
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, he does shitty things. He steals power from the people next door. He stupidly builds a giant tank for, like, a big light show with, like, electric squids. And he uses just regular windows from, like, around the building instead of, like, not realizing you need treated glass that is thick and made to hold, like, that much water.
Yeah.
Because glass on a window is made differently than glass you would have on a, like, industrial strong tank.
Mm-hmm. And obviously we know that most of these are jokes, even the whole glass thing. Like, it's one of those things where you're not supposed to think too hard about it. Like, we have the glass together, we have one of the people come in with a baseball bat, smacks the glass, and that's how it breaks. The not sort of thing is like, I need to really temper this glass so it completely realistically holds all this into squids. No, it's basically just to show that he is on super hard times, and he's going to go to any lengths to basically make this show go on. But it really needs to do it in a way to basically make us empathize with the character. Make him, like, earn money on the side to basically build up the funds and all that. He shouldn't just be all for, like, let me first lie to everyone, and then just figure out how to make up the funds.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, too, is, like, even when he figures out very early on, before anything gets developed or underway, that when he has all the people and they're like, yeah, we can't wait to get, maybe win the $10,000 instead of the $1,000, he doesn't come clean and decides just to carry these people along in hopes to exploiting their singing talents to get an audience to give him money. He's not a deep character. He's a selfish prick.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like you said, he could have been like this Poppins-esque, which is such a weird analogy when you think about it, but like this Poppin-esque character that, he loves singing and he wants to bring these, like, talented people together. That, in and of itself, could have been something. Instead of what we ended up with, and he's just an asshole. And then the rest of the characters are just sort of kind of just bland and archetypical. Some of them, there isn't even really so much a character arc as they're just sort of there.
Yeah.
Like Gunther, the pig that works with Rosita, nothing comes of that. Like, he's just there because he wants to dance. Which is weird because the whole point is that this is a singing competition.
And actually, the character Gunther is important for Rosita's sort of storyline, which is basically just to loosen up so that she can dance more freely. And Gunther's supposed to be her exact opposite in the way. Loud, boisterous, and able to just go with the flow of anything.
And see, I think that would have played to a strength if the movie had a focus of some sort of central character. Like, if Rosita was the central character, her story is about learning to loosen up, and she finds that with help from someone like Gunther. That would have been great. Even Johnny as a lead would have been great. He doesn't want to be in the life of crime like his father. He wants something more out of life. Even Ash, the porcupine girl, learning to grasp your own identity, which is actually interesting because, to a degree, there's a small aspect of that with her character, where the idea is, she's a punk singer, but Buster's like, tells her, you should sing pop because you're a girl, which, by the way, is kind of, like, narrow-minded to actually have that kind of thought that only girls could sing and enjoy pop music and not guys. So, fuck you, Buster, because you're kind of a narrow-minded prick as well. But, like, Ash's character could have been like, I could prove that you might have this conception of me, but I'm more than what you're just conceiving.
Yeah.
That would have been good. Even Mina, the elephant girl, her whole story is, her whole character arc is she's meek and she's timid and she needs to learn to come out of her shell and be able to be, out and proud about being, comfortable with herself and her singing abilities. Each of these characters, by all means, have main character capability status, but instead of having a main character, the movie's got like 5 main characters, and it's split too far apart.
Yeah. What would have been a really good fix for this movie is that we have the one main character, and then have all the characters sort of coalesce with one another. We have Johnny talking to Ash about how she wants to have her own sort of identity, and Johnny can sort of connect with her on that level, and just sort of each character connects with one another to basically help build up each one of them. That way,
there was one.
We can have
to what you. I was gonna say just to what you just said though about characters connecting. you brought up this great point, actually, because in the movie, there's that really good scene where Ash is singing, and this is after, God, I don't remember her boyfriend's name. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Trey.
Lance.
Trey or
No,
Lance?
it's Lance. It's another douche bro name. It could have been a Trey or a Troy. It's a Lance.
Yeah, of course. It's placed down on the list.
There's a part where after Lance breaks up with her, she's on stage and she's supposed to be singing this pop song, and she just breaks down and starts crying. And it's a really small and subtle scene, but like Rosita sits and talks with her, and when Rosita has to go on stage, she gives her purse and just says like, "Oh, there's like some gum or some candy in there. Please help yourself." And that's totally within her character because she's a mom.
Yeah.
So her whole like mom mentality sets in, where she's like, "Oh, I have to help take care of you because you're clearly not feeling good," and like her motherly instincts kick in, and she wants to help this young girl, and it's like that's a really good character moment. I wish there was more of that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like the character bits are all there. Like we have all the pieces ready to basically coalesce into like a one big musical extravaganza, but it's just not all there in the end. Even the musical aspect isn't really there, as it's like one song at the beginning, then all the songs at the end.
It's funny. They actually like have 60 songs in the confines of this movie, and yet this doesn't feel like a musical, because when I think musical, my personal definition and understanding of it is a musical is any sort of film in which it is driven through utilizing music. So like Little Shop of Horror, there are various segments that utilize the character singing to establish a scenario, a theme, a setting, a tone, any of that sort of things. Same thing with like, Mary Poppins, actually. That's a fucking musical. Or most Disney movies, that's a musical. And then you get to the movie of Sing, and it's really sort of limited to, in the first act, they're singing because they need to see who the talent is, and then it's relegated to just the last act. But incidentally, you think that would be good, because then the strong part would be then they would focus on narrative, and it's really mediocre in the middle.
Yeah. It just becomes like a mediocre cheese sandwich and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of sucks. I mean, but I'll tell you this much, though. Like, visually, it's a great fucking film. Illumination is really... Illumination is so damn good with their animation. Even that piece of shit Lorax movie, which I guess maybe we'll one day do on the show if people ask for it enough. Yeah. But, like, even that piece of shit Lorax movie, visually, it still looks stunning.
Yeah, definitely.
Even the Minions looked good.
Yeah, they look good in the objective sense. Subjectively, in my opinion, the Minions could go all jump into a cheese grater for all I care.
Then that cheese will be made into a sandwich called Sing. If you had to say, okay, favorite character, if you did have to choose, because there's so fucking many to choose from, who would you roll with?
I would roll with Johnny more than anything. I just feel he's so out of place with everyone else. Like, all of them have their own sort of family lives, sort of regular lives. He's the one with the most out there life, with having to be part of the crime life and such. So I think he can bring a more different perspective to basically help all the other characters in a narrative sense. So I feel he has the most potential of any of the characters.
Yeah, I could agree with that. There's something about Johnny that he's a little bit more interesting than the rest, because it's like, okay, Rosita's bored with she's bored with being like a housewife, not because she like hates her family or any of that stupidity. She's just bored with the routine of it, and it's like, okay, that works. You know, Ash is a girl that wants to prove that she is just as creative as anyone else. Also good. But then you have someone like Johnny. There's just something a little bit more interesting about Johnny as a character, because it's like, it's such a dramatic departure from the other ones, because it's like, you know, wife who's bored with routine teenage girl who wants to prove she's creative, douche mouse, timid elephant girl who needs to come out of it. He is. That's his character. He's a douche mouse. That's why, like, out of fucking left field, the movie has to introduce the Russian mob because they have, like, nothing. They don't know what the fuck to do with this character.
You know, when you just said douche mouse, I just imagined this sort of 1950s opening, just going, douche mouse!
Douche mouse! That's like glam rock from the 80s. Like, Johnny was the one who felt like it was a little bit extreme where it's like, so he's a gorilla, but his dad's like a crime lord, or not even like a crime lord. He's like, at best, he's like a gangster. He runs like a small street gang.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think what makes that one the most interesting is like, it's everything else is kind of like average, you know. Wife bored with routine, teenager wants to prove she's creative, teenager that wants to prove that she's not timid. Those are all fine traits that a lot of different people can relate to. There was just something a bit more interesting where it's like, this kid who, you know, his father is trying to force his views upon him. You know, son, I want you to be like this, I want you to do it this way. And he wants to fight against, you know, like nature versus nurture. And there's something a little bit interesting to that. It's not fully realized, unfortunately, like a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's certainly the most interesting aspect of the movie in terms of the cast of characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so Johnny would be your favorite character as well?
Yeah, I mean, easily. There is a sense of relatability to him, in that, you know, like me with my family, you know, there is a bit of a strain there where I feel like I'm not doing good enough by them, and I feel guilty about it. And in a lot of ways, that's reflective with Johnny, who he wants to make his pa proud. You know, he doesn't want to be a disappointment, but there's always that feeling of like, I'm a screw up.
Yeah. And
there's a connection there. I can't really connect to, like, you know, Rosita, because I'm not a mom in a routine relationship, you know, routine marriage with my 25 fucking kids. I'm certainly, you know, not like Ash in that, you know, I'm creatively stilted or anything. Mm-hmm. And I sure as fuck ain't Mike, because I ain't a douchebag rat that's an asshole to everybody. Or at least I try not to be.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem with Sing is there isn't a focus. It's by all means, it's good conceptually, but the execution, it's not terrible, mm-hmm. but it could definitely be stronger.
Yeah, it definitely needed another draft to basically figure out who the main character was going to be. But I feel that the movie was leaning really towards Buster Moon to be the main character, and it just... I
think he is, but there's... The problem with him being the main character is there's nothing likable about him. There's nothing about him that you can root for. Like, with Johnny, you want him to have acceptance with his dad. You want him to be happy. And it's that with the majority of the performers. You want Ash to ditch Lance, because Lance is an asshole. You want her to be successful and happy and to have her own identity. You want Mina to come out of her shell. You want Rosita to break loose and, like, be able to regain that energy she used to have when she was younger. All that is something you can kind of see, you know, visualize and root for these characters. And then Buster was just like, so I want him to have his fucking theater back? I mean, he's just kind of an asshole, really.
Yeah. We really need more of a push of it, his sort of, like, knowledge of the theater and singing, so that we could show, like, he is crucial for this theater to still stay afloat, even though he does not have that skill right now, or showing that.
Yeah. That's the thing, is, like, he has nothing about him as a character for you to connect to something with. Because, like, the arguable debate is that you're supposed to connect with him in that he's a guy who's really passionate about this goal, about having this theater, about bringing this talent together. But that's not his character's drive. His drive isn't to bring a bunch of talented people together to prove that they're talented people. His drive is to exploit them to get money to save his own ass because he drove this theater into the ground.
I think that's just the bad... I think that's the bad consequence of what he was going for. Because he initially does say he wants to bring people together to basically cause a really big show and such. So I think he was trying to go for, I want to bring these creative people together to basically sing to show them off. And just basically that will connect to me saving the theater. I think that could have worked, but it was just basically more pushing towards, I need the money, everything's closing down, I just need the money, money, money.
You think maybe this would have worked better if it wasn't about a singing competition, but it was about performing like some kind of stage play?
I don't...
Because, like, the competition implies someone needs to be a loser, and they drop that mid-film to then just make it like a fucking stage play.
Yeah. I honestly don't believe that would work well as a stage play. I do think they shouldn't have dropped the loser aspect. I think they should have done it in that sort of, like, kind of cheesy way, but they would have to earn it at the end, where they have sort of a clap-o-meter, where the audience is just like, so who thinks Johnny wins? And then you have a round of applause for Johnny. Then you have a big round of applause for each of the characters, and they still all get exactly the same amount of noise. It's like, okay, everybody wins then. But there's still no prize money at the end. Like, something like that to show that each one of them has showed their keep. To show that they have broken out of their shell, and everyone has recognized them for it.
Yeah, but I think the reason why one of the reasons why they just didn't go that route is because it's either that it would be too cliche, which incidentally is still kind of how the film ends up ending at the end regardless. But I think the idea, too, of why they dropped the competition, like, mid-film is because they didn't want anybody to be a loser, because it's like, you could actually cheer for a lot of them. You could cheer for Rosita, you could cheer for Ash, you could cheer for Mina, you could cheer for Johnny. You can't cheer for Mike because he's a douchebag. So, like, other than Mike, who's just an asshole to everybody, the other four characters, you're sort of like, oh man, you really don't want to see any of them lose, because, like, they're all sort of good-natured individuals. Even though, I mean, technically speaking, even then Johnny was still the one who needed the money more than the rest of them did.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the thing, is, like, with Johnny, it felt like there was this sense of urgency. He needed the money to post bail for his dad, but he also wanted to get out of a life of crime that his dad has been trying to push him into and become his own man. There's a story there for just that character, because no one else really seemed like they wanted the money except for Mike, but you don't care because Mike got in debt with, like, the fucking mob and shit, because Mike's, again, a fucking asshole.
Yeah, and Ash just wanted...
So it's inconsequential?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ash just wanted the exposure of it. The pig mom just wanted to basically just get out of the house. And Elephant just wanted to just break out of her shell. None of them really needed the money, they just wanted sort of the exposure of the experience.
Yeah. That's why I think, too, like, Johnny felt like potentially the most well-rounded conceptual idea for a main protagonist that just wasn't brought to full fruition.
Yeah. It's sort of why I think that sort of cliche sort of ending where they all win would actually work if they actually built it up enough. Because it's more about the theme at the end of basically all of them becoming comfortable in their own skin, comfortable with their singing voice. So it's actually...
Well, except for Mike, who's an asshole.
Yeah, except for Mike, who's an asshole. Maybe he could have a redemption at the end, I don't know.
Just let him get killed by the bear. That might have happened given the way that weird fucking cliffhanger.
Yeah. Yeah, basically just the movie ends with Mike and his girlfriend who basically has 2 lines, something like that, and just the movie ends with them driving away with the bear just clawing up to the back of the car, just leaning up. It's like, I'm gonna get you.
And we just figure, oh, there's gotta be like a stinger, right? There's gotta be some kind of like resolution to... Nope!
Yeah.
Just a Russian bear mob is I guess he's gonna kill this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Well, like, we give a shit. He's an asshole anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, after all of that, what would you rate this movie, Nero?
Honestly, I'm gonna go with meh, and the reason is because it isn't bad, but it's not particularly a good watch. It certainly has ideas in it, more so than the fucking Minions ever did. I'll tell you that fucking much.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's all in the execution, and the execution was very mismanaged. There really should have been a central main character that we could have root for. Buster Moon is not a character we can root for. He's a selfish asshole who's only in it for himself until like the third act rolls around, in which he decides he's not in it for himself. I felt like that was just a bit too uninspired, uncreative, uninteresting. Whereas the other characters, though, the actual competitors, they were enjoyable in their own rights in certain ways. I actually did enjoy even Gunther as a character because he had so much charisma to him. You know, you have that great scene where he's talking to Rosita and he's like, explain to her, you know, you think too linear. You need to just sometimes let loose. You need to like let the energy flow through you, you know, and just become a part of it. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool because she's sort of stuck in the routine role of being a housewife, and her character part is like breaking out past being stuck in the routine and in the rut of it. Each of the individual characters has something interesting. Mm-hmm. And maybe if they shot this as maybe an anthology movie, this could have actually been better, where like each segment is dedicated to each individual character, culminating at the competition at the end.
Yeah, it's something like that. Because I would say I'm really leaning towards trying to be a good watch, but objectively to me, it's still just meh overall. It's just everything that you said, but I feel that it's so close to being good because I do like the musical numbers in it. Like, I listened to, like, Johnny's song, like, a dozen times because I do like the energy that it shows in it. Like, each one of the music numbers, when they do it, it has energy, it has great staging, it has great lights and all that for a very good animated musical number, which I love to do because I love musicals as well. I wouldn't say it would reach to a must-watch, but I believe it's just basically just a smidge far from being a good watch. So I would still recommend it for anyone who's interested to see it.
You know what might have worked?
What?
If Mike the Mouse was actually a rival to Buster Moon, and Mike as a rival wanted the theater that Buster Moon had, and Buster Moon was losing money, so maybe there was a bet of some sort where like he bets to Mike, and the deal is, if I could make a successful collective of talent be brought in, and it can boost sales, you will back and finance the theater to keep it open.
Oh. Yeah.
But if like he fails, then Buster has to turn the theater over to Mike.
Yeah, it could be like Mike joins the competition to basically show like, if I win and beat all your talent, then I get it. Because he is just that confident.
Yeah, and like that fits his character too because of his arrogance.
Yeah, like something like that.
But, like that would even that would have been a lot better. And you could have actually seen like the reason why maybe Buster gets so determined is because he doesn't want to lose the theater that like he worked so hard to get with his dad. And, you know, he wants to keep it within himself, with the family or something. And, like, something to that strength I think would have helped push his character a bit more. But just as is, like you said, the movie it's not terrible, but by the same times, it's just very kind of average and mundane. And it sucks, too, because animation, it's brilliant. The singing, everybody gives a solid singing performance and great voiceover work. Even though, like we said earlier, Seth MacFarlane plays like one character and he always just plays like an asshole. Yeah, but he plays asshole really well.
Yeah, he really does. And that guy can sing.
That's what he's good at. And he can fucking sing. Holy shit, can he sing.
My friend, I'll say it clear and state my case, of which I'm certain.
Do they have any other movies this year? Illumination? Do they have anything else that's going to be competing in the films?
As far as I know, not on the top of my head.
Oh, Despicable Me 3 is this year.
Oh, right.
That fucking trailer, man, like...
Yeah, that's a trailer. Even though I placed it on my top 5 anticipated movies of the year list, I'm still not looking forward towards it. It's just that sort of situation.
But kind of like, oh, I saw the first two. Kind of want to see where this goes. Yeah. Just a smidge.
Yeah. Not too many strong movies.
But that's watching stuff, guys. No, not really. Shit, I don't even think Disney has any movies this year. I think Pixar has Coco, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was watching stuff, guys.
And then, yeah.
If you want us to cover,
let's watching stuff, you know.
Yeah, if you want us to cover anything specific, please place it in the comments below. We're happy to do anything that your little minds think up. And if you want to just see more, please be sure to like and subscribe, and just tune in to ToonGrin and sing.
Yeah.
I can't sing.
No, don't sing. Knock that off.
Aw.
You're embarrassing everyone and everything.